I'm Bandit in 10. I've got a great guest here today. We actually communicate in a business community, and so we've gotten to know each other a little bit. So I know a little bit about Chris. He's going to introduce himself in a minute. I just want to make an announcement real quick. We will have the Time Bandit app out in May. I just talked to the developers yesterday, and really excited to have it on Apple's Marketplace as well as Google Play. So more to come on that, but go to our website at timebandit.io to learn more. So Chris, welcome to Time Bandit in 10. Nice to see you.
Hey, thanks for having me, Cups. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you tell everybody about yourself?
Well, thanks. I would love to take the opportunity. My name's Chris Dunn. I am the VP of Sales and New Business Development at BlueHive Exhibits. We are an exhibit and event company based out of the Boston area. We also just recently opened up a Las Vegas office, so kind of an East Coast, West Coast type of a thing. I am about 30 years in the industry, almost 20 with this particular company. And I was, for the most of my career, I was an individual producer. And post-COVID, I kind of came back as a dual role sales leader and still kind of carry a book of business. So a lot of hats to wear. And time management is in fact an important thing to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I bet. So ironically, or maybe not so ironic because we do it all the time. I'm at a trade show this week in Orlando.
There you go. Fantastic. Go. That's, I know you mentioned that it's not necessarily your favorite place to do business, but recently looked at some industry statistics, and Orlando is one of the more cost-effective places in the country to do a show. So, put that up against the New York or
I just bought a $7 iced tea downstairs at the hotel. So
I mean, when you're ordering from the show, I'm not saying that everything's going to be cheap.
Absolutely, I'm just giving you a hard time. So let's jump into I have two questions for you. The first is, what is a time waster that drives you crazy?
Oh man, there's a lot of them. You know what? So I'm guilty of this, and going down the old, social media rabbit hole is something that I really need to be careful of. I am somebody who uses LinkedIn on a pretty regular basis. Yep. So it's a danger. And if you're not careful, and it's not just LinkedIn, it's, Facebook and, Instagram too. I recently got on that because my daughter's traveling and she's sending pictures from Europe. But yeah, going down the rabbit hole and getting lost. And ultimately, if you don't go in with a plan, I think that speaks to so many different things. But if you have a plan and you know why you're there and you're there to execute, and then you kind of get out and go about your day, you kind of head off those potential issuone.
Yeah. You know what? I think that's come up more on my interviews on Time Bandit and 10 than anything. Last one was somebody that was a LinkedIn expert. She had a plan for it, and we had a student on before, and she talked about moderation, giving herself limits to it, and so it is a time sink. So what's your favorite time management tip that you want to share?
I think for me, when I kind of stack a few things on top of each other, I feel very productive. I give myself that feeling anyways. I have a commute in the morning and I go into the office most days. I'm home today, but more often than not, I go in the office. I have an hour drive, and I've loved leaning into audiobooks as well as podcasts and just using that time as an opportunity to, kind of get better, learn about my industry, learn about, sales, learn about, just human interaction, kind of always be upgrading my skill set with regards to management, with leadership and sales, and then also gaining, acumen in and around my industry and industries that we help too. I think, versus listening to music or just sports radio or other stuff where half the time, if you're listening to talk radio, you show up at work and you're pissed off because, the conversation went sideways and they're gone political or whatever. And you're like, So it's a way to kind of, I know what I'm going to get. I know it's going to be positive and it's going to be good food for my brain.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Stacking is something that I highly recommend. It's interesting that people can even stack things, little things like, habits in the morning. I know you're an avid dog walker because I've seen pictures of your dog on LinkedIn, as a matter of fact. And, so what you're doing there is you're taking your dog for a walk, which he needs or she needs. And then you're also getting your exercise and probably a clear head when you come back from it too. So you've kind of stacked several things there, but it's a good way of doing it.
Yeah. And I kind of toggle back and forth. More often than not, I don't listen to anything and I just kind of try to marinate on what is and appreciate nature and be present.
Yeah.
But my longer walks tend to be on the weekends, and a lot of times I'll do a podcast or something during that time frame.
Yeah.
So
That's
you
awesome.
see where it goes.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, those are great tips, and the time waster with social media is absolutely something that everybody needs to watch. I think, everybody kind of pins it on the kids that spend too much time on social media, but adults do too.
Yeah.
So
Careful. Careful.
Moderation and going in with a set of rules for
on social media.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about, I mean, your business is complex because, like I said, I'm at a trade show today, and just the planning up to it as just one vendor, right? And we've got a set of things to do and accomplish and people to meet and things like that. But when you're working with CMOs and organizations that are planning very big things, from building booths to how they attract people into the booth, et cetera, I mean, how do you manage that from a time perspective?
It starts with a timeline that we share that right from the get-go, and we're always trying to stay to that and keep our clients on track. It's really easy to get off the tracks on that. Luckily, it's not just me. I have a whole team of people, and all of the sellers at BlueHive have a team of people that help. So we work with account managers, and by and large, if I can paint with a really broad brush, most of the salespeople are like me. We're kind of big picture. We're not super detail oriented. We're kind of, the face, and we're more about relationship and, kind of the big idea again. Yeah, everybody's a little bit different, but by and large, our account managers are people who are all about the logistics, all about the details, and they do such a fantastic job. They totally set up bumpers for me and help me kind of manage. They help manage me, and I help manage the client, or we collectively manage that client together. Yeah. Constantly prompting them. I'm like, hey, artwork is due, next Tuesday. Another reminder, we're going to need that. Payments due prior to, to shipment. Here's the billing well in advance, so you guys know it's coming, and trying to do our best to set expectations, on the front end, and then also following through and doing what we say we're going to do, right? If we say we're going to, have them have the initial first go by, first pass concept to them in 2 weeks, we better have that in 2 weeks, or we're going to look like we don't really know what we're doing. So set the schedule, manage expectations, and then also, be true to your word. Yeah. I think you're right. And the interesting thing in there is you're adding an element of waiting on a third party sometimes, right? If it's all in your control, it's easier to manage. But when you rely on that customer or partner, whomever it is that owes you materials, or a yes or a no, or a design, like you said, it can get kind of tricky that way. It's very challenging. And to be honest with you, like we're dealing with quite often it's an event manager, marketing manager, director, maybe a CMO of a smaller organization, although it tends to kind of fall under their purview. But whoever we're working with, a lot of times they get it, right? They're like, Chris, I get you. I know you need these answers, but now in this remote first world, CMO is, in China, or, it's people are everywhere, and it's way more difficult to kind of get your arms around stuff. So we give our, inside contacts, hard dates, but we build in a little fluff typically, because we know that often they have trouble managing those dates as well, because it's, in an office scenario, I'm going down the hall. I'm going to talk to Peter, who's the director. And then I'm going to go to the controller. I'm going to make sure that he understands that we need to get a deposit check. And then I'm going to go over here to strategy, and you can do it all. And now everybody's so splintered that it's just these little things that took a day now take a week. Yeah. And it's just managing that time and expectation so that's amazing. So I want to encourage everybody to go see your LinkedIn profile, because I get amazed at some of the booths you show, the things that you guys build there at BlueHive, and I think the one I saw today on your LinkedIn had a macaroni swing and a bagel and a sandwich selfie station, something like that. Whatever it was, it looked great. So I'd encourage everybody to absolutely. Please check out my LinkedIn. So that post in particular, I tried something new. That was not a booth that we built. But it's a show that I'm going to support for our clients next week. And, people are always asking me like, hey, you're always at shows. Like, what do you see that's interesting or fun or kind of cool or engaging? So I do take pictures of other people's work. I try to be clear that, when it's my work, I'll let everybody know, or our work. But if it's not, it's really just like, hey, this is a great example of an engagement. This is a great example of the use of lighting or something. So It is a little bit of a foray down a different road for me. But at the end of the day, even though we didn't build it, it's cool. It's kind of the three-dimensional manifestation of these brand pieces. And it's taking something that's this big and it's making it, this big kind of thing. And that's just kind of it's a draw. It's kind of a shocker, right? People are passing by. They're like, there's a bagel like 10 times the size of my head.
Yeah, exactly. That's fun. Well, let's talk a little bit about balance. And the reason I say that is because you and I are in a business group that we collaborate a bit and share ideas. And I know you went on a trip recently to Italy, and you sent back some great pictures. You seem to have an incredible time with your family. How do you, as a busy executive and an hour commute and all of the things you said, how do you stay engaged and balanced with your family?
You got to be intentional. I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit because I set out on this vacation to be like, and it kind of helped that I was in Europe and I'm 6 hours ahead. And listen, I'm literally not on the continent, right? So I set out and I knew what I was getting into a couple of months ahead of time. And I started working towards just clearing my plate and making sure that my team had all the information that they needed so that they could answer the questions that they needed to answer. I am 100% guilty of taking vacations, that are more localized, going to the beach or whatever. And I'll get up and I'll work a couple hours in the morning before anybody else gets up. Right. That's just kind of how I'm wired. And that's fine. But this was so refreshing to really leave everything behind and focus 100% on just being there. My daughter is an exchange student, not exchange student. She's abroad, right? She's studying abroad, not really. She's traveling in Europe and maybe get some credits from it. I don't know. But she was based in Milan and we went there and then we did some day trips. So we would see her sometimes she'd be in school and we did day trips and it was just really cool. And my eldest daughter also came along with us. So it was great to just kind of be with them and, have that time and not be worried about what's going on at work. I literally didn't open my emails until I came back. And I was okay with whatever happened in the interim. I did give my team permission. I said, if stuff goes absolutely sideways and you need me, please text. But it fell at a good time as well. I had been super busy before that. And we had a little bit of a lull and now, busy again, but it just worked out great. So,
well, that's fantastic. Well, thanks for sharing that too. I appreciate that. And it's probably time for us to wrap up because of my commitment to manage time quickly or easily on these things. But I do want people to be able to find you. What's the best way to reach out to you? We've mentioned LinkedIn, but what about a website? Anything else? Email? Whatever you want to share.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to reach out, our email address. So the company name is BlueHive, but BlueHive.com was taken. So we are Blue-Hive. So a hyphen between the word blue and the word hive.com. And then it's my email address is cdunn@blue-hive.com.
Great. And I'll drop that into the comments when this goes live.
Awesome.
Yeah. Excellent. Chris, great to see you. Welcome back to the U.S. and back to work and all that stuff.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
What the heck. It was great talking to you. Thanks so much for sharing with us.
Thanks for inviting me, Michael. This has been a lot of fun. I appreciate it. And take care. Have a great rest of the day.
Excellent. Everybody check out timebandit.io. We'll talk to you on the next one.
Yeah.